Hey folks, this is Kalani. Some very large changes made their way into the Shadowlands with the most recent build, this time affecting how long it will take to level in the expansion. They've made it quite a bit longer if nothing else changes, and then there appears to be no weapons available from the first raid tier whatsoever, but there is something special in their place. Before we jump in, be sure to pop by our live stream sometime over at twitch.tv/KalaniTV. We stream every Tuesday, Wednesday, Friday and Saturday at 12 PM PST, and we always love chatting with you wonderful folks, so I hope to see you soon. First up, we found a very interesting change to how raid loot is going to work for the Shadowlands expansion. Instead of weapons dropping from a variety of bosses throughout Castle Nathria, a select few bosses will be dropping weapon tokens. There are two different major types of token, one that can be exchanged for weapons and one that can be exchanged for offhands or shields. The weapon tokens currently drop from Hungering Destroyer and Nathrius, and the offhands/shield tokens currently drop from the Artificer and the Stone Legion Generals. This could be a placeholder for now or simply unfinished, so take it with a little grain of salt for right now because all of this is still subject to change. We are still in the beta. We could see many more bosses offer these tokens on their drop table by the time the raid goes live. But the key takeaway here is that we won't see any raid weapons, none whatsoever. I can think of a few good outcomes from this change and one or two bad outcomes as well. I guess the main drawback for having weapon tokens is quite simply, we probably won't get any cool Castle Nathria weapon or shield mogs. Having some of those cool vampire swords or axes or maces to swing around no matter which covenant you picked would have been quite fun, and I know a lot of players are hoping that Nathrius' sword will drop in some capacity to allow us to transmog it, and even with weapon tokens, that's not entirely off the table. We have had a few unique weapon mogs drop as extra loot, so that is still a possibility, but you won't be able to actually get a two-handed sword, or any other weapon in fact, in the style of Castle Nathria from the raid, if we understand this correctly. You could argue that getting weapon tokens isn't as exciting as getting actual weapon drops, and when you get your weapons it might not be quite as satisfying or feel as rewarding because you're handing in a token for it instead of ripping a super cool dagger or staff or whatever from the cold dead hands of a boss you just mutilated. But I think tokens will potentially work well for a few different reasons. Number 1, you don't have to worry as much if you're one of those classes who uses a really weird weapon. And by weird weapon, I mean a weapon that no one else really seems to care about. The main examples are rogues with their daggers and hunters with their ranged weapons. Rogues are the only class who can loot agility daggers, so you're kind of on your own with that one. Only other rogues can help you get your weapons if you happen to get really unlucky and you never see them for yourself. The same is true of hunters. If you don't get the ranged weapons for yourself, no one but a hunter can help you out. Whereas, if you just need a two-handed strength weapon, all the warriors, paladins and death knights in your raid can trade it to you if they don't need it themselves. The same goes for caster weapons. Any staff, dagger, wand, offhand. If a mage, priest, warlock, shaman, druid, monk, pretty much any other caster gets what you need and they can trade it, you can all work together to make sure everyone gets an upgrade. It's much faster to get the weapons you want if you share the same weapons with other classes. The more classes you share it with, the faster you're going to get your weapons. With a token system, that limitation is suddenly entirely removed. Now you don't have to use the same weapons, you just need to be able to use the same token. Right now the tokens do have class limits on them, the same limits that were imposed on class tier sets in previous expansions, if you noticed, but we have no idea if that's the final plan or if that's just a placeholder. Either way, you should be able to trade these tokens among yourselves to help everyone gear up, and it doesn't matter if you want a dagger, or an axe, or a two-handed weapon, or a staff. If you get to pick what you can get, you can trade the token to anyone and they'll just figure it out for themselves. This is also great for classes that use a wide variety of weapons. As a caster, you can choose what type of weapon you want to go for. If you hate wands, never trade it for a wand. If you want a dagger and an offhand, go for it. If you just want a staff, that is your choice. This is even more important for someone like a Frost Death Knight or a Fury Warrior. They can both use two-handed weapons or one-handed weapons, and it's going to be a key personal choice as to which setup you will want to play with. Having the flexibility to choose choose your weapon is going to be crucial for those players. Back on the transmog topic, you may have noticed the tokens say you can trade them in at your Covenant Sanctum in exchange for a weapon or shield or offhand. This is a clear indication that your weapons will be themed after your Covenant instead of after the raid. That's actually pretty cool. You'll have some weapons to go along with your Covenant armor guaranteed, and your Covenant choice will be even more important because it's going to dictate what your raid weapons will look like. You also probably won't be able to unlock other Covenant's transmog, so choose wisely. One worry that has been brought up about this relates to the stats that will be available on each weapon. If the agility dagger from the Kyrian has haste crit on it, and the agility dagger from the Necrolords has verse crit, that's going to be another unnecessary pain point for the Covenant system. I hope Blizzard is smart enough to make every weapon have the same stats for each Covenant, or at least make sure each stat combination is equally represented, to ensure we don't have yet another small factor to take into account when choosing Covenants. You don't want to have to think about who has the crit haste staff, or who has the haste mastery two-handed strength weapon, and weigh that against everything else. But I have seen that crop up in discussions, so make sure you get on it, Blizzard. All in all, I think weapon tokens will provide a bit more bad luck protection to ensure you get your weapons at least sometime within the first month or so progressing through the raid, and I imagine most guilds who progress quickly will see many of their raiders pick up best in slot weapons much sooner than in previous expansions or raid tiers. I like the idea of Covenant themed weapons too, so I'm excited to see how this pans out. One raid tier of weapon tokens could be fun, but I think a full expansion of raid tokens might start to get a bit boring, so hopefully they will change things up at least a little bit as we work our way through the expansion as a whole. But what do you think of weapon tokens? A good change of pace, or a boring replacement for one of the most exciting pieces of loot in a new raid? Let me know in the comment section below. Another big change in the most recent build is the large nerf to experience required from level 50 to 60. Quite a lot of experience requirements have been shifted between levels 1 and 60, but the main thing I want to focus on is the more than 45% increase of experience required to get from level 50 to level 60. So I hope they're going to increase the amount of experience you actually get from several sources, otherwise you might be left with no quests to do before you hit level 60. From our personal experience leveling on the beta recently, and from our guild's experience as well, just completing the main quests, only main objective quests, no side quests and no dungeon quests, got us up part way through level 59. We actually did this on stream. You can see here, we arrive at this quest and can't pick it up, because you need to be level 60 to continue on the quest line. I'm short by almost 3/4 of a level here, so we had to go back, do a few side quests and just generally catch up in experience. And now they increased everything by 45%, so you either have to do pretty much every quest you come across and do the dungeon quests as you get them, or they have to increase the experience that quests actually give you. I'm not too sure why they would increase the experience required and the experience you can earn at the same time. That just sounds like inflating numbers for the sake of inflating numbers, but we do know that Shadowlands leveling up until this point was very, very fast. I think you could get a level per hour quite easily in the previous builds if you knew what you were doing and you leveled as a group to speed up certain quest lines. The only times we slowed down significantly was running between zones, like when we finished Bastion and needed to start Maldraxxus, or finished Maldraxxus and had to move into Ardenweald. The travel time kind of kills your experience per hour. I guess we were going a bit too quick for Blizzard's taste though, because everything will be slower after this big experience nerf. So if you've asked someone in the last couple of weeks or even months, how is the leveling in Shadowlands? If they replied, pretty quick, that might be outdated information at this point. I still think you could get to 60 in under 12 hours game time if you pushed it, and I'm sure the speed levelers will push it way under that, but you're going to need a few gaming sessions when the expansion launches to level up for sure. My main concern seeing this nerf is whether we'll actually have enough quests if they don't bump up the experience. We didn't get to 60 with just the main objectives, and then they increased it by 45%. I don't see all of the side quests making up that difference just on its own, so we'll have to see if any other changes come through. But that's it for this quick little update on how things are moving in the Shadowlands beta. What do you think of the weapon token system over getting individual weapons from the raid? How about leveling in Shadowlands potentially taking 45% longer? Leave all your thoughts in the comment section below. If you want to explore the beta or help us get ready for Shadowlands, you can find us over at twitch.tv/KalaniTV. We stream every Tuesday, Wednesday, Friday and Saturday at 12 PM PST, and watching the stream and coming to say hi is one of the best ways you can support the channel right now. And if you ever wanted to be included in the long list of names at the end of every video, a subscription on Twitch is the easiest way to make that happen. You get a free sub to any Twitch channel if you have Amazon Prime too, so be sure to take advantage of that. A big thank you to everyone who has subscribed on Twitch already and to our supporters over on Patreon. You can see their names floating by on screen. If you want to join these lovely guys and gals, well, now you know how. Remember to leave a like just below the video before you leave, and if you want to see more, make sure to subscribe. But apart from that, thanks for watching folks, good luck and have fun, and as always I will see you next time.